The Housewarming Party by Miya Dixon. Chapter 1. Lindsay Gomez thought her tour group was behind her. She thought that Sally McKnight was still behind her, kicking her shins for her turn to look. Whoa, I'm going way ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning. Lindsay was a very intelligent girl whose parents sent her away to boarding school in Rochester near Meadowbrook Mansion. Today, her history class was taking a trip to the mansion to learn what her teacher called basic history. They were exploring the mansion quite peacefully, except that Sally McKnight kept banging her shins until they reached the balcony. Lindsay was looking over the balcony down at the ballroom, imagining that she was finishing putting on a dress and about to go down to the party when Sally lost her sweet patience, she thought, so she thought Sally pushed her. But as she looked back, she didn't see the tour guide, the group, or Sally McKnight. All she knew was that she was falling fast. Chapter 2. Lindsay hit the floor super hard. She waited a minute for her vision to clear and then got up. Luckily, she landed on carpet. She knew she was in the mansion, but it looked so new. The walls were not cracked and had no glass protecting them. She recognized this room from the tour, Frances's closet. Just then, there was a shadow in the hall. Lindsay freaked out. "Who are you and why are you, in my closet?" A young lady about 13 or 14 with medium light brown hair walked in. Lindsay was very scared, but she made up a lie. "Frances, I'm a guest to you. You remember me? Liberty Rouge." "Oh," Frances said as she sank miserably into a chair beside Lindsay. "We have so many visitors here that I can hardly keep track. Sorry for my rudeness." Lindsay was bursting with joy. Frances believed her lie. "Well, you'd better change it to a dress. It's our housewarming party, you know. Here, I'll call a maid to help you decide on your dress," Frances said, her eyes sparkling. She pushed a button on the wall, and soon 2 maids came up. "Fitting for Miss Rouge and I, please," said Frances politely. Soon Frances was in another room, and Lindsay stayed in the closet, holding outfits on her body until the maid announced, "This is the one, my love." It was a soft blue silk dress that went well with Lindsay's red curls. She put on a small pearl necklace and silver flats. She wore a hat that looked like an upside-down bull. She felt very pretty and very jealous when she saw Frances. Frances clearly had the better dress. It was a pale pink dress with a ribbon tie-up in the back. She wore a pretty sun hat with white ribbon. Her shoes were pearly heels. She also had a pearly handbag with pink beads everywhere. "Shall we go down?" she asked politely. "We shall," Lindsay answered. She felt big and clumsy next to the perfect Frances. She tried to be graceful on her walk down the staircase, but knew she'd failed, because Frances did better. Chapter 3. The house was abuzz. People of all ages poured in through the main entrance. Butlers walked around with drinks and socialized. People danced and ate. Organ music drifted from near the library, but Lindsay knew that no one in the family played. Lindsay had fun. She danced to faster records with Frances and even did a slow dance with Danny. She had some drinks and ate some roast beef and apple pie. There were many good things to eat and see. A band played some new songs as people danced. There was a whole lot of people waiting to see Matilda and Alfred Wilson. There was also food. Oh, so much food. Rabbit, beef, steak, turkey, duck, stew, mashed potatoes, chicken, noodles, soup, bread, salad, fruit, and chutney, to name a few foods. Lindsay was getting a little tired of all the partying, so she lay on the couch near Matilda and Alfred. She watched them shake hands. Then a man who had lost an eye and much of his hair came up. He looked as though he were poor, but the Wilsons treated him like family. They hugged him and smiled wider. Then he stepped beside them and waited. The lady who came next looked the same. She was missing a finger, and her hair was dirty and matted. She too was treated like family. She then joined the man, and they walked off. Later that evening, after she had gone to the bathroom, Lindsay heard whispers near the bathroom in Matilda's study. She leaned to hear them. "Then they'll be ours. The kids will be ours, so we'll have the fortune. All you have to do is shoot," said a deep man's voice. "But Peter," said a woman's voice. "Silence, Helen. I think we're overheard. Load the gun and let's move." "Yes, sir." Chapter 4. Lindsay felt cold sweat pour down her face. They would kill Matilda and Alfred and get the kids and the money. How could she stop their plan without help? Just then she thought of a plan that must not fail. But she needed help, so she ran to get it. Helen and Peter had already activated their plan. Helen ran up in line to greet Matilda and Alfred. She made sure no one got behind her. Matilda and Alfred noticed that people were leaving. They decided to turn in soon, too. Helen came up to the front of the line and said, "Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, Peter and I have a very big present for you, so you have to open it now." "Couldn't we wait until later?" asked Alfred quietly. "No, the time has to be now. Before we leave, we don't want anyone else seeing it, or they will want it. Come quick," Helen yelled breathlessly. She led the Wilsons to the library. She locked up the door and then grabbed Matilda. Peter grabbed Alfred. They bound them to the wall with nylon rope. "Well," Peter said, "who ever heard of murder in the library? Only in Clue, of course, with the rope and blah, 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 whatever." "Please," Matilda said, "let us go. We need to protect our children. They need us." "Oh, don't worry about the kiddies. They'll be safe with us," Helen cackled rudely. "Load the gun, Helen," said Peter. "We must kill them while we can." "Not if I can help it," said Lindsay, as she stomped in with Danny and Francis. Chapter 5. "Such young ones to save the great Alfred and Matilda Wilson," Peter sneered. "Shouldn't you be off sewing or building airplanes?" Helen pointed the gun, but Peter said, "No, let's see what these kids can do." Francis took her heavy skirt and threw it down. In it were 50 china teacups. Glass flew everywhere. Next she poured steaming tea on the floor. Danny handed her one of his many Boy Scout pocket knives and used another for himself. They backed up to the door and became security. Lindsay stepped forward in a fencing outfit borrowed from Danny. She ran and grabbed the gun out of Helen's hands. She stepped over the tea and to the kids. The murderers were not so keen. They stepped in the steaming tea and leapt back out. They took the sides, but Danny and Francis held them off. The Wilsons got untied and grabbed the gun. Francis rang the bell and the operator dialed 911. The police came and arrested the murderers. Later, Lindsay stood by the balcony again, but with the Wilson kids. She had lived her dream, and now it was time to go back. She leaned forward to gaze once more at the ballroom, and then she fell, fast, again. She landed in the hall of the old mansion. Her class came down the hall. "Lindsay Gomez," said Professor Gibbons, "please refrain from dress-up on this tour." Lindsay looked down at her clothes. They were still her blue dress. She was the subject for jokes the rest of the year. Her life was rotten, but boy, had she enjoyed that night. She'd saved history, but no one would ever know. The end.